What's going on, Genius Nation? Welcome to a brand new day. This is the Daily Genius, and I am Dr. Will. And as always, super excited that you are here with us on this journey, episode 105. Episode 105. And if you've been journeying with us, you know that we're on this journey of 365 videos. I'm coming in live every single day. So thank you guys for hanging out with us. Those of you that are here live with us inside the group, for those of you that are going to be watching later, thank you guys so much. And if you're watching this on YouTube, when I talk about the nation, I'm talking about our private Facebook group of over 1,000 individuals that are committed to becoming the best versions of themselves and creating a life that they love. So if that sounds like you, in the description, there's a link for you to join Genius Nation. Please do that. We would love to have you a part of the family. If you want to get tips, tools, and strategies that will assist you in becoming a better version of yourself, then this is the group that you want to be a part of. So on this beautiful Thursday, wherever you are, I hope your day is started out magnificent. And, I was thinking as we've been going through how we want to maneuver the rest of the year, I was thinking about what do I want Thursday? What do I want to focus on Thursdays? And so what I want to focus on Thursday is you thinking bigger. That's what Thursday is going to be about. So when we come here on Thursdays, we're going to be talking about thinking bigger and ways that you can think bigger and things that you can do to practice to help you think bigger. Your life is worth you thinking bigger. And to be totally honest with you, listen to what I'm getting ready to say. You can't afford to think small. You can't afford to play small. The greatness that's on the inside of you, the brilliance that's on the inside of you, it requires for you to play a bigger game. It requires for you to think bigger. It requires for you to think bigger. I know, and I've talked to a lot of you guys. I've had an opportunity to interact with a lot of you guys, and you have big visions. You have big dreams. But to bring those visions and dreams to fruition, you got to think big as well. I was thinking about this subject and thinking about what I wanted to share with you. 3 years ago, we started a magazine. I got with my team and I said, hey, I want to produce a magazine. I want to produce a magazine for the speaking industry. And we had never done anything to this magnitude. We didn't know what to do or anything like that. But I just had the idea. I had the idea that I wanted to start this magazine. And so we were talking and we were going back and forth. And my team said, okay, who do we want on the cover? Who do we want on the cover of the magazine? And I thought for a moment and I said, I want Oprah. I want Oprah to be on the cover of the magazine. I want Oprah to be on the cover of the magazine. And everybody, looked at me like it was crazy because none of us knew Oprah. We didn't have Oprah's number to call. And I started thinking what one of my mentors told me long ago. He said, everything is about relationships. Everything is about relationships. So what I did was I started looking through my Rolodex, my mental Rolodex, and started looking at who did I know that knew somebody that knew somebody that knew somebody that possibly knew somebody that knew Oprah. And so I'm going and I'm thinking and I'm thinking. And so then I remembered one time I had the opportunity to share the stage with Stedman Graham, who is Oprah's boyfriend. And I didn't know Stedman personally, but I did have his contact information to his office and to his assistant. And so we reached out to the assistant, told them what we were doing. And she talked with Stedman, got back with us. And then Stedman gave us someone in Oprah's department that kind of handles that type of stuff. And so we started emailing, we started going back and forth with emails all the way up until eventually we got to, I want to say, 2 assistants away from Oprah, right? And when I say assistants, production managers or something, that was like two rings away from Oprah. And we were going and talking with her, and she was asking us about the magazine and all these just important conversations when you're going after a person like Oprah. And we didn't get Oprah, but what we did get was such a lesson, in how you approach. And at the time, we got knowledge of how people like Oprah. She didn't have, here was the thing I learned. At the particular time we wanted her, she wasn't promoting anything. Usually what we found out is if you want to get these big people, if they have a movie, if they have a book, if they have something that they need to get eyes on, if they need to get some information to the public, that's when they're most inclined to accept your offer to do a podcast, to do an interview, to be in a magazine, things like that. And so that was huge. That was a huge, big piece of the information, a huge, big piece of the puzzle. And so moving forward, what we learned was if someone was doing something, maybe they're having a conference, they want to promote something, that was the best time to go after them. And so just by thinking big, you're not going to always get the final outcome that you want, but the process of thinking big, even if you just walk away with information, sometimes you'll be surprised. What I found out, a lot of times we shut ourselves off. From possibilities because we think ourselves out of it. I'll give you one more story before we get out of here. I remember one day I'm at my office, and a friend drives up, and he drives up in a brand new Jaguar. And I remember coming out. He's like, "Hey man, come outside. I want you to see my brand new Jaguar." So I remember coming out, and he's showing me his Jaguar. I mean, oh man, I was like, "Oh man, this is nice." And in my mind, and this is years ago, so I'm in my 20s at this time, and I say, "Man, that's nice." And I immediately begin to tell myself, "Man, like when I retire, I'm gonna get something like that. And I ended up saying that to my buddy Johnny. I said, "Man, Johnny, when I he's a little older than me, and I said, man, when I retire, man, when I retire, I'm gonna get something nice like this. And I'll never forget him stopping me and saying, "Man, why do you have to wait till you retire? You can have one of these right now." And when he said it, I was like, in my mind, like, man, I can't get nothing like this. A Jaguar? I started building up all these barriers in my head, all these barriers in my mind. And there happened to be a Jaguar dealership, maybe 10 to 15 minutes from my house. I had never went there before. I had seen it, but I never went there because in my mind, I had already blocked in my mind that number one, the Jaguar was too expensive. Number two, I wouldn't be able to get it until I'm retired. But one day I said, you know what? I'm just going to go to the Jaguar dealer, and I'm just going to look. It's no harm in looking. It's no harm in just walking the lot. And I remember walking the Jaguar dealership, and I'm looking at all these beautiful cars, and I see one that I like. But now I'm like, you know what? I don't even want to walk over there because it's just going to disappoint me. And I'm going to look at the price tag, and it's just going to, be astronomical. It's just going to, just disappoint me. But I said, okay, Will, you're here though. You're here. Just go look. I'll never forget. It was emerald green color. As I walked, I could tell the interior was a peanut butter leather color. And it just looked so sleek. It just looked so, oh, I was like, I just fell in love with it. And I went over there to the car and I saw the price tag on the car. And I said, it can't be right. It must, I started telling myself, oh, this must just be the down payment for the car. This has to be the down payment for the car. And so I'm looking at the car. I'm like, this can't be right. And I go and I get one of the salespeople to come out, and I'm asking him about the car. And I say, okay, what's a car like this cost? And he looked at me kind of strange because he's like, the price is right there on the car. He's not saying this out loud, but that's the look that he gave me, like the price is right on the car. But I'm thinking that has to be the down payment. And he says, it's the price there that's right there on the window. And I was like, for this car? He was like, yes. I was like, this is the price. And what happened was we had just recently bought a BMW. We had recently bought a BMW. And once again, in my mind, I had never gotten the information. I didn't know. In my mind, the Jaguar and the BMW in my mind was so light years apart, like in pricing. And when I saw this price, I was like, wait a minute, we just paid this for the BMW. And I was like, what? I could have had a Jaguar? I could have had a Jaguar? And so now I'm here, my mind is open. And I said, wait a minute. It unlocked for me exactly what Johnny had told me. Well, you don't have to wait. You don't have to wait till you retire. And eventually I went, a couple of months later, I went and got that Jaguar, and I was so excited. But what it did more than having this beautiful car, what it did was break a limitation in my mind. And that's what thinking big does. When you start to think big and you start to pursue big, it begins to break down, once again, because we start creating all of these barriers. And when you start going through the process of thinking big, what happens is you begin to learn that most of the stuff that you thought that you were telling yourself, it's a lie. Because you're saying, you know what? Maybe I want to get this house. And maybe you're saying, oh, but it's going to cost too much. Maybe you're saying, you know what? I want to move over here, but you're telling yourself, oh, that's probably going to cost too much. Or I want this car, or I want that, or I want the promotion, or I want to start the business, or I want to scale my business to $1 million. You're coming up with all these excuses of why it can't happen versus all the reasons why it can. And so I want to challenge you today. What areas of your life are you thinking too small? What areas of your business are you thinking too small? What areas of your career are you thinking too small? I want you to start thinking bigger, because as I said earlier, for most of you, with the dreams that you have, the visions that you have, you can't afford to think small. It's going to require you to think big. So think about that today as you go throughout your day, as you go through your day being the amazing, brilliant, genius person that you are. And I'll see you right back here tomorrow for the Daily Genius. Go out there and be in beast mode.